So today is
November 20th.
November 20th,
Yes.
2016, and this is beginning of the interview with
Mark Emerson Harris.
at the VFW Veterans Village in Fort McCoy, Florida. My name is Sam Kukoski, and I will be the interviewer. Also present is
Justin Perkins.
who will be operating the video. Could you please tell us your full name and address?
Okay, my full name is Mark Emerson Harris. Address is Fort McCoy in Florida.
Where were you born?
Putnam, Connecticut, Wenham County, 1948.
How old are you today?
69.
What qualification?
60, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. What qualification level did you achieve?
I was top of my grade as far as I could go by the end of my tour of duty, my enlistment period.
What is the word? Sorry, I can't remember. What branch of government did you choose?
I was working with the U.S. Army,
Did you draft or were you enlisted?
regular Army all the way. 8 years, 11 months, and 13 days. 2.5 tours of duty in Vietnam.
Can you describe your basic training?
I took my basic training at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, what they call it in the old division area. I was there from beginning of February until the end of March. A few days before Martin Luther King was killed.
Wow,
My brother was stationed there with this Green Beret.
exciting. What weapons did you qualify on during basic training?
The M14, the standard, not the modified.
What was your rank?
When I went in, it was, of course, it was an E1. And it got graded up by the end of the thing to E2. And when I went to my next AIT, I was up E3. Then I came back to another AIT, and I was enlisted. I was up to E4. Went to Vietnam on January in '69, and was promoted in May of that year to E5. And I stayed there. My first tour of Vietnam was for a year and a half, from January '69 till August of '70. Came back to the States for a while, and went back over in March of '70 of '71 till '72. Then I served the rest of my term until January 7th of '77, when I was drafted out of the military, which means we're doing a reduction in force.
So, where all did you serve?
I see basic at Fort Bragg, then went to Fort Monmouth, the radar school, then went down to Fort Eustis, Virginia for the Marine training, then went to Vietnam for a year and a half, came back for 7 months to Fort Eustis, then re-enlisted, went back to Vietnam. At that tour, I came right back to Fort Eustis.
All right, so you didn't bounce around a lot.
No, that was a very small field in the Army.
So what did you do?
I was a Marine. I was what they call a harbor craft operator, which basically operating LCMs, LCUs, and tugboats.
What is an LCM and an LCU?
Okay, LCM is the landing craft mechanized. I was using the Mod 8, and on the LCUs I was sighted off for those with the 1500 series. And I did very little with the tugboats. I did do some work, mostly on those two.
So did you ever see combat while you were
Oh,
Vietnam?
oh yeah, but I couldn't tell if I hit anybody or not. Because I was out in the middle, let's say, if you ever see pictures of the Mekong River, you're doing over half a mile wide. So a lot of times you could see the fire coming, but you couldn't even see if you hit anybody.
Did you have any siblings that served in the military?
Yeah, all three of my brothers. My oldest brother served with the Special Forces and went to Vietnam. My next oldest brother served with the Navy. He served up what they call Yankee Point and Yankee Station in Tonkin Gulf. Then my baby brother, he served right out of Mayport, right by Jacksonville, with tours to the Med. And of course myself.
Did you have to receive any special training?
Well, I had to learn how to operate their boats the way they wanted it to.
Do you recall your instructors?
No, not really. I ran through so many of them. That would be very hard to.
How did you adapt to military life coming from civilian life?
Fairly well. Fairly well.
Was it different or was it similar?
Oh, in a lot of ways it was similar because I wasn't a grunt, which is a totally different lifestyle in the military from what kind of work I was doing. That I didn't have much problem. Plus, like say, when I came back from Vietnam on my last tour, I'd been working at all nights. Came back to the States, it was about 12 to 13 hour difference. It was just, I didn't have much trouble adjusting back to stateside life.
What do you recall about the physical regiment?
What?
The physical regiment?
Oh, in basic, it was a little hard for everybody to adjust to. But once you got to your main points, it wasn't that hard. And of course, in Vietnam, we really didn't have any physical training to speak of.
What do you recall about like the barracks and the food and the social life on base?
Well, stateside barracks and basic training were basically from World War One, left over, and from World War Two. And in fact, the hospital was that bad. It was bad, falling down condition because they were using barracks that were pre-World War Two. So you had floors that were dipping, ceilings that were hanging down on you. And then, of course, over Vietnam, it was I was lucky I didn't have to spend too much time in the hospital. I did twice. And once was because somebody broke a nose on me, and he got busted down in rank. And the other ones were when they took my appendix out. The 3rd Field Air Force Hospital by Tonsanute. But I didn't see that inside of the hospitals or anything like that much. Thank goodness.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you have any like good memories from being overseas?
Oh yeah, I had some pretty good time because most of the operations I worked on, we didn't see many officers. We saw them maybe once a month. And we go out, a lot of times we were wearing shorts and loafers. Sneakers for working on deck, and that was it. Because the boats we worked on, the LCM-8s, had no living quarters on board them. We had a builder on the aft quarterdeck. So we tried for 6, 8 guys on board a boat that was about 74 foot overall, with no running facilities for toilet or shower. So like a lot of boats, they took a whole drop tanks from the Air Force, painted them black, and won the water up for showers. Or during the monsoon, we just stepped outside, got wet up, and showered down that way. And the boats we usually ate, a lot of times we started off with eating sea rats that were made before 1948. Yeah, they were that bad. And then they took us up to what they call LRPs, the Long Range Patrol Packets, which you put warm hot water into the packet to heat up the food. And then they finally moved on to what they call the MREs, which each fighter should be familiar with by now. Mm-hmm.
What kind of action did you witness while you were over there?
Well, I saw it come a number of times under places where I was at, come under mortar attacks, rocket attacks. We get shot at on the rivers and such. And most of us did not receive any individual awards in that kind of transportation company. We did get the Presidential Unit Citation for the division. And we've been awarded some government awards from the RVNs, like Legion of the Civic Action Medal, and I've got I can't remember the other one, but it was one with a palm on it, both as a unit and individually. In fact, General Zuma had wanted to give us the Navy Combat Action Ribbon, but they were told he couldn't do it because the ones he wanted were not 11, what they call 11 Bravos, were the grunts, because that would be equivalent to the Army's Combat Infantry badge.
So what did you do when you were under mortar fire?
Not much, except pull our heads down below the arm plate and keep going, because the boats we were on, we had two, what they call Mondooses, 50 caliber machine guns. Then we had the M60 machine guns, which were using the 7.62 rounds. And when I first got to Vietnam, I had a modified 14 where the stock was cut down, because the standard 14 stock was too long. This one had to cut down stock with the rubber butt plates with the Harris bipod on it, with the auto selection on it. Thing would kick that hard, because that was a 7.62 round, the NATO round. And after a while, went to the next one, we issued me an M16. So, but we did take some fire. We fired back, and it's just restricted because we're sitting targets basically. Our top speed was 15 miles an hour going down the river. So they took pot shots at us all the time.
Did you ever witness any casualties while you were?
Except the ones we picked out of the rivers. No. Because there's only one time that was on an LCU, we were getting heavy fire, and one of our machine guns must have hit an ammo point, because they had an explosion on the shoreline. But we didn't see any BC or North Vietnamese casualties at all for it to speak of.
Did you admire the people you served with?
Oh, I had a lot of them I admired with. I admired the people I met over the Vietnamese. Because the guys had an expression of calling them gooks, which means actually we were the gooks over there. They weren't, they were natives. And I got along with them because I lived there long enough and I got to know their language. In fact, I lived with a few. And go to places and get at the Vietnamese price instead of the regular price, which is usually over doubled. So, because like a lot of times we pull alongside some of the junks and tow them, and we share a meal with them. Because I remember one guy caught a big catfish, about a good 5-footer, and gave it to his family, and they cooked it up, and we all took turns going on the boat to get something to eat.
It's pretty cool. What kind of friendships did you form during your service?
Well, a lot of the services are actually reformed after we get out of the service. This is with groups like this right here. And because you got both Army and Navy, Admiral Zumwalt was a member of this group too. He lost his son because of the Agent Orange, which a lot of the 9th Division, we were under direct spray of that stuff. And he was ordered to use it because of the White House. So then he turned around and lost his son. Just weird. And General Westmoreland, he was with the 9th Infantry Division in World War II. And after the World War II, they furled the flags in the 9th Infantry Division up. They weren't uncased again until they established them for going to Vietnam. They took a whole basic training cycle at Fort Riley, Kansas, and all the way through to AIT and everything else as part of the 9th Infantry Division. Went over there basically, except for the advance party, as by boat, by ship. They went over to the Vietnam and arrived in Mong Tao. And they got stationed there just north of Bearcat, a place called Bearcat. Then eventually was moved, they dredged the harbor out on the Mito River, which is part of the Mekong. And they dredged it out, and they moved it to that area right there. That became the headquarters for the 9th Division. Except for part of the 3rd Brigade, which was up the coast in the Two Corps area. They were over there after the main body went home to the States. And they went to Fort Lewis and the furled flag there. I stayed in country when the 9th went home.
How'd you stay in contact with your family back home? Was it mainly for mail?
Oh, mail, and sometimes I had to use the shortwave set. They had what they call MARS, which is the civilian military radio system. And one thing was when I was with the 5th Heavy Boat, the last company I was with, my last 6 months I was basically in charge of quarters every night. And I was able to use the short wave. So when I called, it was during the daytime here. So it worked out pretty well.
That is nice. What did you do for recreation when you were off duty?
We out on the boat, there wasn't much you could do except maybe play cards and such. Luckily, if you able to keep some boats dry, that was the main thing, especially in the monsoon season. And drink. Yeah, I stayed away as much as I could away from the marijuana over there because they could buy it so cheap. It was pitiful because we were right outside Golden Triangle, where they grew the heroin and everything and marijuana. So they had problems with that over there. Luckily, I never got involved with that stuff.
So, how did you return home? Was it by boat or from airplane?
I flew over and back again a number of times. Because, let's see, I did about 4 round trips. Going back, because at one time I had to come on emergency leave when my father died. Back in November of '71. Stayed around till almost New Year's.
How long were you overseas?
Well, I figure my total tour, I was over there for two years and around 5 months. Yeah, because over there the tour was 12 months.
How were you received by your family when you came home?
You figure my dad was a minister, but he believed in protecting this country. And if the country called for you, you went. Because since I had my 3 brothers serve, my youngest one was in when I was at the last part of my tour. But by the time I got married, my next older brother was out of the service. My oldest brother, of course, had been out by the time I went. Was just before he got out when I went into the service. But he stayed. He was there long enough for me to make basic training and finish that off.
How were you received by your community when you came home?
I lived in an area that was pretty good on the soldiers there, because you had a few oddballs that did not like too well, but they used to get them heads straightened out in a hurry when they messed with the wrong ones. I remember I had one police officer who had something about my brother he didn't like, so he didn't like me, and he stopped me 7 times within a week. Came in and see my orders. Had to go to the chief of police and tell him either get him off my back, you guys were going to be sued for harassment. So, and I had one bar where I had trouble, and it was straightened out by me and 3 Marines. So, but overall, it wasn't like they were running across with, especially the ones out in California, the fruit and nut state.
What did you do? What have you done since leaving the military?
Oh, let's see, I've been salesman, I worked factory. My last 16 years was custodial for Aramark. And I had to get out of that because of medical conditions. Because I was developing congestive heart failure. And of course then, at the same time, just before I was diagnosed with that, found out I was a type 2 diabetic, the only one in my family. Thanks to Agent Orange. And I might have a few more things tied in with that, including my grandson. He's the one with that water on the brain condition, which is coming up, caused by Agent Orange. So I told his daughter to go and file.
What were some of your most memorable experiences?
That was just one time on the night where the ammo dump blew up because of mortar explosions, and I'm heading into a ditch right near the hospital because they were walking the things and they're walking right down the roads. So luckily we had 5-foot deep ditches dug alongside. Just took a header down into one of those, things like that. And of course being at my girl's house with my dad, the Red Cross was notified, and she woke me up and told me my dad I was going home. Because I had gotten a letter from my mother the day before, and I knew something was wrong. And so that day she woke me up. I told her when I got home from duty, I may have to go home. And sure enough, she woke me up an hour and a half later. And got dressed, showered up, and got dressed, went down and had breakfast, and there was a Catholic priest sitting there. He was going to offer high mass for my father. I said, don't worry, he was a Protestant minister. And the girl could write and speak English. She wrote a letter to me while I was home on leave, and half of it was from my mother. I have a letter of condolence.
Nice.
That's why I say I got along with people over there quite well.
Has your military experience impacted your feelings about war?
No, because in a lot of ways the Vietnam War was wrong, but there's other things where it's problem we have with the wars is the politicians get involved with them. Once they get into a war's history, hand off to the military and leave them alone. See, with Vietnam, they could have been finished right after the Gulf of Tonkin. They wanted to embargo Vietnam. Total blockade, and the White House, no, we can't do that. We'll starve the people. It's the only way, and we end up losing that many people. Because he went on for over basically another 10 years of having people killed. You go in there and you commit to everything, you just go ahead, okay, what, military politicians, stand aside, let the military take care of their action, let them go. They know how to do a fast war, without using any kind of nukes.
Do you have post-traumatic stress, or do you know anybody that does?
I've known a few people that had the problem, and I think all of us, I have a touch of it. But some of us can handle it better than other people can, because they handle it in a different way. Because some people will not admit they have the stress problem, and they get diagnosed with the schizophrenia and paranoia. Well, they take a look back, and they lie about what they did over there. I cannot imagine a Green Beret being a librarian or general's aide for the whole year as an A-team member. Don't happen. So, and I remember this one guy at the wall this one year, his wife finally convinced him to go to the wall. He was a nurse that served in a renal unit over there in Vietnam. And he had his jacket done up like a kidney in the back. And lo and behold, 4 of the nurses he served were there that year. And you wouldn't believe it. And there's a lot of guys, he have even going to the traveling wall. At the know any of the guys, even just to take them there, because I've been there a number of times, because I used to take a train from Chicago twice a year to D.C. for the Memorial Day and Veterans Day. If I can't afford that, do it nowadays. Otherwise, I would.
What effect did serving in the military have on your faith?
It's really never changed it. Because the military does nothing about changing the faith of a person. It's just actually what the military does is more apt to build your character. If it's a weak one, it'll help improve it to a good condition, because a lot of guys who were back when I was serving, they started to give them a choice. You either go to jail or you go to service. Now, a lot of the guys said, thank God for the judge. Because they came out and said, I realized what I did was wrong. And that you hear about these veterans causing all these troubles. A lot of times these are not the veterans themselves, or what we call wannabes. Guys who were never even served in the service. And they come up to, because we had a lot of, I think, even you heard, stolen valor. We had, out in Illinois, we had one judge, it was when we had a bunch of different rooms, turns out he had never even served. We see it all the time. We still, and you've seen this with the Iraq veterans too, Afghanistan veterans. This, where guys are claiming they served over there and they never did.
Have you remained in contact with, or reunited with any fellow veterans?
Yeah. Twice a year we got a reunion. They had a Veterans Day thing up in D.C. this year again, because they lay a wreath every year. And then next year will be coming up where they got a reunion up in Indianapolis, mid-September. Or, no, excuse me, right around the end of August is going to be. Yeah, let me check. Yeah, August 31st is September 3rd. That's the Marriott East up in Indianapolis. Yeah, 'cause I get this every quarterly. Where, see, this is one of these vessels they use for the dredging at Mind by the VC, so it took maybe a while. It was an Army dredge, but it took maybe a while to get it up and running. Because this is, when you talk about like from Saigon south, this is we went down to the tip of Vietnam, covered this whole, all those rivers and such. And like I say, we do have a get together. They have what they call a mini one in the evening on the even year, which is this year out in the West Coast, out by San Diego.
What are some life lessons you learned in the military?
Just to keep an eye on what's going on around you and avoid trouble.
What are some lessons you would pass on to today's generation?
A lot of them, just tell them, hey. Well, with the kids I run across are not the Hillary kids. The ones that go running around crying because they don't get their way. Those are the people I don't have no respect for whatsoever. Because you're seeing it right now because of the election of Trump. I cannot understand their thinking. These colleges pamper them, give them crayons and crying cloths and everything else. That was not what I've heard of college back when I was growing up. And now with cutting out a lot of these, the pledge out of the schools and the prayers out of school. When I was growing up, that was standard. And you would never talk back to a teacher like some of these kids I've seen. I remember when the teachers used to be able to pull out the Board of Education. You're lucky you haven't seen one. Good old board with holes drilled into it. And they'd tell you bend over and grab your ankles. And give you a couple of squats right in the back end. You learn in a hurry. You do as you're told. You don't talk back to anybody. Don't sass your elders or your teachers.
Is there anything I forgot to ask you about your military experience?
No, I don't think so.
And then that's all the questions I have for you.
Oh, okay.
So, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.